Well, food is definitely very meat based. One of the most common thing that you'll find over there is the doner kebab. Kebab, I'm sure you've heard that word before, usually just signifies some sort of meat. Doner kebab, however, is a bunch of meat stuck on this like big wheel that spins around, and it cooks as it passes the fire on one side as it keeps spinning. The word doner literally means it turns, so that's why they call it doner kebab. It's kebab that turns, and it's just cooked really nicely, really evenly all around. And they'll use these big like knives that are like this long. I've heard elders call them dinner swords before, where they'll cut off the meat, and you can make all kinds of stuff with it. You can get a nice half sub, I guess you could call it, 6-inch sub. They don't call it that. It's just bread for them. You stick the meat in there, lettuce, tomato, whatever else you want to slap in there. You can get it in a wrap. They call that dudum, and those are wonderful. Chicken is a lot more common than meat, actually, surprisingly enough. They have a lot of chicken. They have some really good places in Ankara. I absolutely love places like Donas or Dois or places like that. You can use that kind of meat, put it on top of bread. You put tomato sauce on it, yogurt on the side, and this like melted butter sauce. That's really good. They call it Iskender. It means Alexander. I don't know. I've heard stories about it being Alexander's favorite food. Who knows if they're true or not. They have, they'll put the doner over rice, and they call it pilav üstü, which means atampa rice. And so you can have chicken on rice or meat on rice, and they'll always have like meat on the side, some onions and tomatoes on the side, and different little vegetables to get. The breakfasts are very light. It'll usually consist of like some light vegetables like cucumbers, tomatoes, olives. They love olives. They're out in the Mediterranean, of course. I love olives. And so it worked out very well. They have a lot of bread. They have these little bagel things that have sesame seeds all over them called simit. You'll see street vendors all the time, just some with like their nice little carts, others literally just walking around with a big plate, sometimes balancing it on their head, just yelling out in their craziest voice that you can say, just simit. We had like our favorite calls that we would hear, because you would hear all sorts of different people yelling that out. They had poğaças, which are like these little bread things that usually had something in there. They would have like goat cheese or regular cheese or potatoes or spinach or anything like that in there. They have pide, which is this long pizza style thing where you can put on top of it different things. They have kıymalı, which is mincemeat. They have kaşarlı, which is a certain type of cheese. It might be sheep cheese or goat cheese, one of those. They had, different sorts of meat and things. They would put egg in them. Wonderful stuff. They had lahmacun, which is like the flatter type. Those are the ones that they call Turkish pizza. The real name is lahmacun, where they'll put the mincemeat and different vegetables on it. And it's just completely flat, really flat thing, but it's wonderful as well. They have mantı, which is like what we would call ravioli or so, just a lot smaller pieces. They put yogurt on top. They put this other sauce on top that's red. That's also wonderful. I don't know how kind Turkey would be to vegetarians, though. But, I miss Turkish food. They have something called çiğ köfte. It translates directly to raw meatballs, but that's not what it is. Because they always do it the meatless kind, because the meaty kind is apparently illegal. I don't know, I'm not sure. But where they would take bulgur and add all sorts of spices and different things, and they would put it inside a wrap, along with lettuce. You can put tomatoes if you wanted to. They would add lime. You can make it hot if you wanted to. Then they would add this pomegranate sauce. That pomegranate sauce, made it delicious for sure. They have the drink to drink in Turkey is called ayran. Now, all foreigners, the first few times they try it will hate it. Guaranteed. As is with most foreign foods. It is a yogurt drink that's like salty, and it sounds disgusting at first. And the first few times, like I said, you won't like it. But eventually, you just start to love it. I don't know what I would do for an ayran right now. That sounds wonderful. They have a juice called shalgam, which is concentrated beet juice or something like that. That's also really gross the first few times you have it, and then you start to love it as well. They have they have a lot of different herbal teas that are all very good as well. They have a hot drink called salep. It's usually a holiday, a wintertime drink. And I'm not sure exactly what it is. It's okay with the word of wisdom, so we're good with that. But they had like cinnamon on it, and it's like, I don't even know how to describe it. It's like hot chocolate white, but it's not white chocolate. It's just a really good drink. They have all different sorts of soups. The soups are wonderful. You eat it with bread. Like you can, sometimes we would just buy soups, buy a loaf of bread and just eat bread with soup for a meal. They have their beans and rice is another really simple meal, but somehow really good. It's poor people food, but it's good poor people food. And they have the kebabs. They have all sorts of different kebabs in Turkey. It always starts with, of course, the meats, which sometimes the cheaper kind is usually just chicken balls. But then, of course, you can get the meats, and then they add all sorts of different sorts of it. You can have kebab with tomatoes, kebab with mushrooms. You can have kebab with eggplant. Eggplant is a delicacy in Turkey for sure. The expensive food will have eggplant in it. But yeah, the kebabs are wonderful stuff. Desserts, those are important ones. Baklava is the first one you'll probably hear of. Actually, no. Turkish Delight is probably the first one you've heard of before. It is actually one of those desserts that when it says Turkish, it actually is Turkish. And it comes in all different sorts. You can have like the gummy kinds. You can have pistachios or coconut or you can see all different sorts of Turkish delights. It's so assorted. It's hard to explain, but it's a delightful dessert basically. The Turkish name is lokum. Another one you'll see is baklava. It's this pastry where they have a lot of thin layers of baked bread, kind of like like a croissant, just a lot of little layers. Different kinds come differently. Some have pistachios in the middle, some have walnuts in the middle or something like that. And they have a nice sweet liquid that they added to it that is not honey, but is very sweet comparable to honey. And so it's wonderful to eat. That's some of the favorites of foreigners that go there. I mean, they have künefe, which is shredded wheat melted together with cheese, which with again the sweet sweet liquidy thing that they add to it, and they oven it as well. And so it comes out nice and hot in a nice little pan, metal pan, about this size. Wonderful stuff. Like, might be weird at first having cheese in a dessert, but you learn to love it. Sometimes they put cream on top, like not ice cream, but cream, and it's wonderful as well. Pistachios, you'll see it everywhere in Turkey. Personally, I kind of got sick of them except for normal pistachios, but some people like the pistachios a lot, that they put pistachios in literally everything. Like the little lunch meat, sometimes I saw lunch meat with pistachios in it. Yeah. They have a dinner place. It's German-style dinner, but, there's a lot of Turks in Germany. And the dinner is a lot more unhealthy, but it tastes really good because of that. I personally prefer the Turkish dinner a lot better than the German dinner, just because I can feel good about myself after eating a Turkish dinner. But after eating a German dinner, it's like I just ate like this really, really unhealthy but delicious fast food or something like that. Yeah, they have a place right here nearby in Provo, in University Mall. I guess that's in Orem, but yeah.